All right. So thank you. Hey, I see y'all coming in. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the broadcast. Let's talk tonight about what we can learn from the lotus flower. So if this is your first time here, welcome to the Confetti Collective. My name is Mo James. I am a certified confidence coach and the founder of this brand where we provide confidence coaching for women. Everything that we do is designed with the woman who is on a confidence growth journey. We want to support her. We want to support you. So we host conversations like this. I host conversations like this a lot often to get us in the space and in the mindset of kind of where we want to be as it relates to our personal growth and development, and especially our confidence. I do believe that confidence is an essential ingredient if you want to redesign your life in a way that supports your desires. If you want to learn how to create boundaries in your relationships, if you want to learn how to shake off the conditioning of playing small and stifling your own voice, if you want to do any of those things, you need confidence to do it. So that's why I do what I do. That's why I show up. And I'm glad that you all are here. So let's jump into this conversation. So I'm talking again, pulling a lesson from Tarana Burke's book, Unbound. I mentioned this in a live a couple of days ago, and I told you all that I read this book in 2 days. One sitting, I read about half of it, and then the second day I sat down and read, and I finished it. And because it's really good. It's really good. I love when women use their stories to help other women elevate their lives. That's like at the core of what it is that we do here through this brand in creating and delivering confidence coaching for women. I pull from my personal experience as a woman who has gone through this journey and who is on this journey still. I pull from those experiences to create conversations for us that I believe will help us grow and evolve and expand. So in the book, so the subtitle of the book is My Story of Liberation and the Birth of the Me Too Movement. So in the book, she talks a lot about her childhood and growing up, right? And she talks about how she had two major experiences in her life that really shaped how she saw herself as a teenager, as a young adult, up until her early adulthood. One of those experiences was being called ugly by an adult. She, as a child, 6, 7 years old, was called ugly by an adult. And then after that, she experienced sexual assault. She was a victim of sexual violence. And she talks about how she wore those two experiences became her identity. The mud that came from being called ugly by an adult and being sexually violated really changed how she saw herself. And she wore that identity for a long time, all through middle and high school, all through college, all through her early adulthood. She wore that. She talks about her liberation, her journey of liberation really began when she learned of a loved one, somebody in her family, somebody who she loved a lot, had also experienced sexual violence. And she realized that she was buried and had been buried underneath her own story, and she needed to figure out how to get out of that so that she could help her loved one. And isn't that something that a lot of us women can identify with, right? We can identify with being inspired or being sparked to start something in our lives based on something that somebody we love has experienced. Sometimes we recognize that we can't help somebody else until we help ourselves first. We talk about that all the time. Oxygen mask on first. We have to be able to heal ourselves first before we can help other people heal. And in the book, she talks about how that was her catalyst. That was the spark that really propelled her into working through her own pain and healing her own trauma, which gave birth to the Me Too movement. So let's tie that into the Lotus lesson, right? We, us women, we like to think of ourselves like flowers, right? And we talk about how, needing to be in the right environment and blooming where we are planted and all of those things. And we also talk about how, sometimes we have to make the decision to uproot ourselves and be replanted in an environment that's going to allow us to grow, to be in an environment that's going to allow us to thrive, to reposition ourselves so that we can be supported in our blooming. But we don't often talk about the things that we're carrying. We don't talk about the mud-stained accessories that we carry from our past that continue to wear us down, that continue to keep us stuck where we are. We don't talk about the mud that we have allowed other people to put on us, and we drag it along with us through our lives. And then because we're carrying this mud, we're wearing the mud stained accessories every day, we uproot ourselves from place to place, from relationship to relationship, from environment to environment. And we're confused because we're not growing. But we don't realize that we might be carrying the mud with us. But here's the thing, y'all. Here's the lesson from the lotus. Because the lotus flower, we see the lotus flower used a lot in as a symbol of like regeneration and rebirth and all of those things, because the lotus flower has literally evolved to know how to grow in the mud. The lotus flower knows how to extract nutrients from the mud and the muck that buries it. It has learned how to use that environment to grow. It has learned how to be unburied, to take what has been thrown at it, to take what has been used to bury it and use it as fertilizer so that it can grow. So here's the question for us. What mud are we planted in right now? And how can we use that environment to support our growth? The lotus flower is planted in mud and dirty water, and it grows anyway. It grows anyway. If that flower was a woman, I would say that flower has a made up mind that she's going to grow anyway, regardless of where she's planted. She has decided it doesn't matter what's around me. It doesn't matter what type of environment I'm in. I'm growing anyway. And we can do the same thing. Because the truth is, our circumstances can change. Our environments can change. I mean, I've shared a lot of my experiences with you all growing up really in an environment that was rife with violence and scarcity and insecurity and sexual assault and all of those things. And at some point I had to make a decision. I had to decide if the mud was going to define me or if I was going to figure out how to grow anyway. You have the same choice. You can channel your lotus energy and decide that the circumstances around you will not define you. Your worth will not be determined by who called you ugly or who didn't like your shoes or who told you that you couldn't do something or whatever happened. Whatever they said, whatever they did. You can choose to not be defined by that, and you can grow anyway. You can grow anyway. If the lotus flower can figure out how to bloom in the mud, If the lotus flower can figure out how to unbury itself and grow and expand and bloom anyway, you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing. That's the lesson that we all have to learn from the lotus. It doesn't matter what you're buried in. It doesn't matter what's been thrown at you. It doesn't matter what happened to you. I want to say that differently. It matters what happened to you. You don't want to be defined by what happened to you. You want to be able to grow beyond what happened to you. Grow beyond what they said about you. Grow beyond what they did to you. The lotus knows how to do it. The lotus extracts nutrients from the very environment that was designed to bury it. We can do the same thing. Exactly. We can choose to bloom wherever we are. Now, if you have the ability to uproot yourself and move to a different environment, then by all means do that. But I understand that that's not a luxury that everybody has. Everybody just isn't able to say, you know what? I no longer like this environment. I'm leaving. Everybody doesn't have that luxury. But what we all do have is the will and the power and the ability to figure out how we can extract what we need to grow from any environment and use it. So I want to give you 3 tips, 3 steps that you'll be able to apply. And I'm going to tell you about something else that we're doing coming up in a couple of weeks. So the first tip that I have, the first step that I want to offer you, oh, that's so good on Facebook. Being planted in a hostile environment doesn't change the fact that you are a flower. That's right. You are a flower in the desert, in any environment. You're still you. You haven't changed. Your identity hasn't changed. The situation around you has. And again, you get to choose if you allow the situation to define you. So the first thing, what if you're the person that always leaves? I am becoming the person that is learning to grow out of the mess. So what if you're the person that always leaves? Here's the thing. Here's what I would say to that. There is no rule or no set of standards that says that you can't choose to respond to situations in a different way than you always have. I'm the person that always argues. I am down for an argument or a debate, okay? I'm always down. But I am learning that some things I just need to exit. Some things I don't need to engage in the tete-a-tete, in the rigmarole. Some things I can just deuce and roll out. Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you and your energy. Because again, I can be the one who always likes to argue, but I also have to recognize that some of those arguments won't get me anywhere. They will be fruitless. So then what is the point of engaging? I can move on. We can do the same thing. We get to choose. That's what's so beautiful about this process, y'all. We get to choose. We get to choose. We don't have to hold ourselves to who we used to be. We can decide tomorrow, I'm going to start showing up differently and do that and be free to do that. So first tip that I have to offer to help us maximize and kind of activate our lotus energy is deal with the fear. Okay? Deal with the fear. Meet fear at the door. Here's the thing. This is what I want to say about fear. So very rarely do we hear people talk about fear and dealing with fear. So because we don't have the conversations or we don't hear the conversations, we assume other people aren't dealing with fear. so that when we deal with fear, we think something is wrong with us because nobody else is talking about fear. Nobody else is saying how afraid they were to make a big decision, or how afraid they were to step out and do this, or how afraid they were to bet on themselves. Very few people are talking about that. So when we experience it quietly, we think something's wrong with us. Everybody deals with fear. Everybody deals with fear. The people that we watch that are doing amazing things have learned how to deal with their fear and not let it stop them. I like to say, meet fear at the door. You know how when you are at home and you're expecting a visitor, right? So you dusted, you fluffed the pillows and you pulled out the good glasses because y'all probably gonna be drinking something. So you're ready for them. You're just waiting for the doorbell to ring. That's how I deal with fear. I don't fool myself into believing that fear will not show up when I am having to step into something that I've never stepped into before. I don't pretend that the fear isn't going to show up. Instead, I'm waiting for her. I wait for her because I know how to deal with her. So when she comes knocking on my door, I check her at the door. She don't get to come in here and put her feet all over my furniture. I deal with her at the door. So if you want to start that process of learning how to unbury yourself from the mud that you are in and channel your lotus energy, you have to learn how to deal with your own fear. First, you have to acknowledge the fear and stop pretending that it's not there, because you're not fooling anybody. You're not even fooling yourself. So first acknowledge it and then address it. Stop letting fear show up like the elephant and take up all kinds of space in your mind, in your heart, in your energy. Stop doing that to yourself. Fear don't run nothing here. She don't get to just come up in here and spread herself all over my stuff. I deal with her. You can deal with yours too. You can deal with yours too and survive. You can meet your fear at the door, address it, and survive. I promise you that. That's tip number one. Tip number two is to stop letting perfectionism keep you from taking the step. I'm going to say that again. Tip number two, stop letting perfectionism keep you from taking the step. And take a breath. Perfectionism has kept more good ideas and potential and progress on the shelf, which perfectionism and fear are cousins. Stop letting her keep you from taking the steps that you know you need to take. Stop being so afraid of being judged, because the people who would judge you for making a mistake are not your people anyway. So forget about them. Forget about them. Why do you care what they think? They don't even like you. So why do you care what they think? Stop letting perfectionism. Somebody on Facebook says, have you been spying on me? Listen, this is real, y'all. These are real conversations. This is real. This is real life. Stop letting perfectionism keep you from taking a step. Let me free you up right now. It's not going to be perfect, because perfection doesn't even exist. So stop chasing something that's imaginary. Free yourself and go enjoy the journey. Perfectionism does not exist. Take that pressure off of yourself and stop worrying about what those raggedy people who are going to have something negative to say because you made a mistake. Stop worrying about what they think. That's tip number 2. My final tip is to surround yourself with the evidence that your inner critic is wrong. Y'all know who I'm talking about when I say inner critic. You know who it is. It's that same one. And I'm making this face because that's how the inner critic be looking. You don't even this. You ain't even that. You should have done this already. Why are you wasting your time? That's how her mouth looks when she's talking to you. You don't even such and such and such and such. If I had a sock on my hand, that would have been perfect. But y'all know who I'm talking about. You need to find the evidence that she is wrong. Because she is. She is. She's wrong. And sometimes I know that sometimes it's hard for you to confront her and tell her she's wrong because you think that, but what if she knows that I don't really believe what I'm saying? That's why you need the evidence. That's why you need the evidence to support that she's wrong about you. So maybe you need to do an audit and collect your own receipts and be like, first of all, chick, I was waiting on you at the door. And second of all, let me run down all the reasons why you are incorrect and just run it down. Like remind yourself. That's why I advocate for journaling. Journaling is you keeping your own records of your own receipts. You can go back and read what you wrote last year after you submitted that proposal and you got it. So when the inner critic shows up this time that you're submitting this proposal and she tells you that you're not qualified, you could be like, but hold on. If memory served, matter of fact, not even memory, let the record show that on this day, I was it. So if it was true then, it's true now. Thank you and good night. Listen to me, y'all. Listen. We are the only ones responsible for our growth. We are the only ones responsible for this life that we get to live. And I say get to because somebody somewhere died today. That's a fact. So are we going to continue to squander these breaths? Or are we going to go after every crumb of greatness and divinity and brilliance that this life has to offer for us? Which one are we going to do? Are we just going to keep letting these breaths just be out here willy-nilly, like good for nothing? Or are we going to start taking full ownership of who we are in this world and stand and walk heavy in that identity? I don't mean tiptoe. I mean walk heavy in it. We have a privilege of sitting here and having this conversation right now. We have a privilege. And to waste that is just unacceptable to me. It is. Let's decide that we are going to walk heavy. No more tiptoeing, y'all. Let's figure out all the things that we need, all the support, all the resources, all the help. I don't. I don't, one of the reasons I like to, when I'm talking about a book, especially, I show the book because I want people to know that I read it. Because there are plenty of people out here having conversations about things and they didn't read it. I read it. And I have my own takeaways and I share some of those takeaways with you all. Not because I'm trying to walk your journey for you, but because I want you to be equipped with everything you need so that you don't abandon your own evolution. Because that would just be a waste. So I'm going to run down these 3 tips, recap these 3 tips, and I'm going to tell you about the next thing. So channel your Lotus energy. Learn how to unbury yourself by, first, meeting fear at the door and dealing with her. 2, stop letting perfectionism keep you from taking a step. And 3, surround yourself with the evidence that your inner critic is wrong. All you have to do in order to take a dark, muddy, unproductive environment and turn it into a space where you can grow is change your mind. That's all you have to do. Instead of waiting for the environment to change itself, which is a very disempowering position to be in your life. I am very big on taking the place of leadership. This was a talk that I done a couple of years ago. If your life is a kingdom, who is the person that's sitting on the throne? It should be you. So that means you're not waiting for anything to change. You the ruler. Change it. All you have to do is change your mind. And then give yourself everything you need to support your changed mind. So, with that, I want to tell you all about the Confidence Mindset Makeover Challenge that I am hosting beginning November 3rd. It's a 3-day challenge. It is a free challenge, 3 days. And guess what we're talking about? Guess. I'm going to let y'all guess. We're talking about fear and how to deal with it. We're talking about self-doubt. And we're talking about that raggedy inner critic. So if you have listened to this conversation and you're like, yes, Mo, I recognize I want to take the environment that I'm in and turn it into something that allows me to bloom and thrive, then I encourage you to sign up. It's a free challenge, 3 days. We talking about these 3 things. If you're watching this on Instagram, the link is already in our bio. Click the link in our bio and you'll see the button there. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, confidencechallenge.net. All the information is there. I'll update the caption with the link. But we're not playing about this. We're changing our minds. Let's change our minds. Let me put it on here. Since I have this fancy software, why am I not using it? So who has questions? Any questions? Anybody have questions about anything before I get out of here? I'm scrolling through the comments to make sure I haven't missed anything on Facebook. Anybody have any questions? Somebody said I might need to get the book. Yeah, the book, that book is, it's that. It is that. So, y'all, we have the power. That's what's so beautiful about it. It would be one thing to kind of resign ourselves to everything that our environment is trying to pile on us. That would be one thing. That would be one thing to do. And for a lot of us, We have probably done that. And let's forgive ourselves for that. But from this point on, we can decide that we're going to figure out how to wring out that environment that was designed to bury us. We're going to wring out everything that we need so that we can grow. Wring it out. Bleed it dry. Get everything that you can get out of it. But in order to do that, you have to change your mindset. You will have to change your mind. You will have to change how you look at things. And I believe you can do it. I believe you can do it. So the Confidence Mindset Makeover Challenge kicks off November 3rd. We're running 3rd, 4th, and 5th. It's a free 3-day challenge. I encourage you to sign up. The link is on the screen if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on Instagram, the link is in the caption of the bio. We're not playing around with this. We're not playing around with this. Yes, the book is on Amazon. I'll update the caption with the link if anybody wants to get the book. Y'all, just for people that were just jumping in, we're coming from Unbound by Tarana. I love this book. Like, first of all, I love the book, but I love the cover. Look at her. I just love that. I absolutely love that. In the same way, and that's the reason I love reading other women's stories is because they are evidence that we can come back from anything. It doesn't matter. I don't even want to say it like that. Regardless of what you have endured or what you have experienced or what you have been through, there is probably a woman out there who has been through something similar. And if she is able to share her testimony, that is proof to you that you will survive too. And that's all I need. All I need is an example. And sometimes I don't even need that. All I need is just the fierce confidence in going after it myself and not being the one to succumb. Sometimes that's it. But yes, y'all, we can do this. We got this. We didn't come through everything we came through for nothing. I truly believe that. So let's get our mind right. Let's get our minds right. And let's get our mindsets prepared to maximize the environments that we're in, even if they're less than ideal right now. They don't need to be perfect. We just need to change our minds. That's it. Once a woman has changed her mind, she will change her world and change the world. That's all we have to do is change our minds. So I thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope this conversation has been helpful for you. If you are watching it on a replay, drop your comments. I would love to know your takeaways or, what you gained from this. Because we're going to be doing more of this. We will be doing more of this. If you're not already following and connected, I encourage you to do so. But for right now, sign up, register for the Confidence Mindset Makeover Challenge. 3 days, we're going to get this thing all the way together. Okay? And then we're going to go out here and disrupt. We're going to flip tables. Like, we're going to be flipping proverbial tables everywhere. And it's going to be glorious. I'm excited. All right. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Until my next broadcast, I will